Hello everyone and welcome to the second game of the tiebreaks of the Prague Chess Masters, Prague Chess Festival, the Masters edition. It's Alireza Firouzja now with the white pieces against Vidit with the black pieces. So in the first game, Firouzja won with the black pieces, and now Vidit is in a must-win situation, and well, we'll just see what happens here. So without further ado, let's check it out. Firouzja opens with e4. Sorry about that. Vidit goes for c5. The Sicilian defense is on the board. We have knight f3, knight to c6, and c3. Now, not going for d4 right away. He wants to play a bit of a more calm approach to the Sicilian. We have d5, e captures, queen captures, and now d4. So the Alapin variation. We have e6, bishop to g4 is the most played move here for black, but Vidit goes for e6. We have knight to a3, now grabbing the c4 square, maybe with the bishop in some lines, but mostly the knight is coming to c4. We have a6, and now the knight especially comes to c4 since Vidit vacated the b6 square for the knight. So knight to c4, threatening knight b6, which will just win material. So queen back to d8, guarding the b6 square now. We have bishop to g5 attacking the queen, and there is one game that reached this position from 1972 US Open Championship, where f6 was played. White was able to win that game, but here knight to f6 is a new move. So as of move 8, we have a completely new game. So Firouzja starts with d captures on c5. He grabs a pawn and offers a queen trade. He only needs a draw in this game to become the champion, as he already won game 1. Bishop captures on c5, and now he trades queens. Captures, we have king captures, and rook to d1 check. You might be thinking, why not knight captures, and then you will be able to castle. Well, the queens are off the board, there really isn't all that much danger, so the king belongs in the center of the board here, or maybe even on c7, depending on what white will play. So not caring about castling. We have rook to d1 with check, and now king back to e7. Yes, for now the knight is pinned, but you can very easily kick the bishop away with h6. So knight f to e5, centralizing your knight here. We have knight captures, and now h6, pushing the bishop back. Bishop to f4, and now knight to e4. An excellent square for the knight. Already Vidit is threatening to capture on f2. Knight to d3, defending f2, and also attacking the bishop on c5. So bishop back to a7, and now f3. Here, Firouzja just pushes back the knight back to f6, and now knight to e5, reclaiming the e5 square for his knight. Knight to d5, now preparing to kick away the knight with f6. Also, the dark knight is now nicely centralized. Bishop back to g3, getting the bishop out of harm's way, and now rook to e8. Now the king can come over to f8 or d8, depending on what white plays. We have bishop to f2. Here Firouzja offers further trades. The more pieces, the more pawns come off the board, the closer he is to a draw, and closer he is to becoming Prague Chess Festival champion. So f6, pushing back the knight. Knight g6 check doesn't really do anything. After king f7, you're just gonna have to move it back. So here, knight to c4 instead. First we had a trade, bishop captures on a7, where you could capture here, but then the bishop can just go back. So first bishop captures here, and now knight to c4. Like I said, also you could go knight to g6 right away, but after the knight is under attack, you'll just have to move it. So b5 pushes the knight further back, and now knight to a5, threatening knight c6 check to win the rook. Bishop to d7, guarding the c6 square, and now king f2, improving the position of the king. Rook to c7 now, with ideas of maybe pushing b4, piling up on the c3 pawn. Bishop to d3, and knight to b6 now. Here Vidit is going for a4 square to go after these two pawns. We have rook h to e1. Now both rooks are nicely centralized, and knight to a4, going after the b2 pawn. Rook to d2 defending, and now rook to d8, preparing to counter white's rooks along the d file. Bishop to g6 now. Firouzja just limits the mobility of the black king, grabs more space for his bishop, and bishop to c8 now, offering trades, which Firouzja of course doesn't mind. We have rook captures on d8, king captures on d8, and now rook to e2. defending the second rank, also keeping an eye on that pawn here. And now e5, freeing the light square bishop. We have rook to d2 with check, rook to d7, offering yet another trade, but this one Firouzja declines. He just keeps the rook here to keep an eye on his b2 pawn. We have rook to d6, taking away the c6 square from white's knight, and now c4. We have b4, continuing to push the pawn, and now c5. Here Firouzja offers a pawn, but it's not really a pawn offer. If you capture a knight captures, you can go rook to c2. Now attack the knight here. You cannot really defend it. This is covered by the knight, and if you go here, well, it's very easy for the bishop to kick it away from there. So you'd have to move the knight 96, and now you can just deliver check since the c6 square is guarded, and after a king moves, you can pick up your pawn back. So the end result being you will have a 2-to-1 advantage on the queen side. So after c5, we have rook to d5, and now as the c6 square has been freed, knight c6 check. King c7, now knight captures on b4, and now as the rook is under attack, now rook captures here. So the end result basically the same. Bishop to e8, attacking the knight here on a4, knight b6, and bishop back to f7 now. We have a5, pushing the knight back, and now instead of moving the knight, rook to c2, going for further trades. So if you capture the knight, of course, you lose the rook. So king to d6, defending, and now rook back to d2 with check. King e7, and now, again, your knight is under attack and your bishop is under attack. So there's one move that fixes both of these ideas, and that's knight to d5 check. Knight to d3 is also possible if you want to keep pieces on the board, and if you would maybe... well, if you'd maybe try and win this position. But okay, knight to d5 check. We have king captures on f7. You could go for captures, but that might favor white a bit more. But who knows? It's a blitz game, so anything goes here. King captures on f7. We have knight captures on b6 now, putting pressure on the bishop, and bishop to e6 now, taking away the squares the knight might use to run away. So b3, now keeping an eye on these two squares, so the knight has some escape routes. g5, and knight to a4, attacking the rook, rook to c7, and now knight to b2. We have h5, Vidit starts pushing on the king side, and now knight to d1, bringing the knight to the center of the board. We have f5, and now knight to b2, going for the d3 square. We have rook to c6, or probably just giving Firouzja the move, as both players are extremely low on time here, probably around 10 seconds each, and they are mostly playing on increment. Knight to d3, threatening to capture here, or just if pawn moves, knight e5 check, wins the rook. So king f6 guarding, and now rook to e2, again going for the pawn here, and here Vidit was extremely low on time, and in the final moment he played e4, but before he hit the clock his time ran out, and it was in this position that Vidit lost on time. E4 is the strongest move in the position, but it's hard to say, but it shouldn't yield more than a draw. Point is, the pawn sacrifice is meant to win back the pawn after captures, and captures. Now you deliver bishop to f5. The rook now has to guard the knight, and after rook to e3, now you go rook c2 check, king moves, and now you pick up the a2 pawn. And now it's hard to say. Black is somewhat better. He's a bit more active. The bishop should be stronger here than the knight, since the play is on both sides of the board. But it's hard to say if black could actually win this. But either way, after e4, Vidit lost on time, and the second blitz game also is a victory for Alireza Firouzja. So yeah, after losing to Vidit in a very short game, like we already mentioned, Vidit already had a winning position after only 12 moves against Firouzja. They went into tiebreaks, and Firouzja was able to win both games. And here I have prepared the standings. Here they are. After 9 rounds and 2 rapid tiebreaks game, 2 blitz tiebreak games, we have Alireza Firouzja wins the tournament with 5 out of 9, followed by Vidit with 5 out of 9. Young Krzysztof Duda, David Anton Guijarro, and Sam Shankland, all of them on 5 out of 9. So really crowded at the top. With 4.5, Nikita Vityugov and Pentala Harikrishna. With 4, Marcus Rager and David Navara. And Niels Grandelius in last place with 3 out of 9 points. As you can see below, the average rating of this tournament is 2707. So not bad for 16-year-old Firouzja winning a 2700 plus average rating tournament. Very impressive stuff. And everyone thought Vidit was definitely taking this one because he was leading by 1.5 points two rounds before the end of the tournament, but then he lost both of his last games, one to Navarro and one to Duda. And that's, he had an incredible tournament until the last 2 rounds, then it just he's still in the top, of course, but it's a shame because he had an above average tournament. But yeah, that's chess, anything can happen, and so this happened. But yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it, and this short coverage of the Prague Chess Festival Tournament, the Masters Edition. I would like to thank Ivan Penkov, Joshua Corwin, Mika Virolainen, Milan N. Stojanovic, and Robert Arathun for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the Paul Morphy saga and checking up on your wonderful suggestions. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.